Hi everybody, welcome back, or welcome if you're new to the channel. I wanted to take a moment to show you guys where I'm at with the Muppet Show Backstage diorama because I haven't talked about this thing in months. I'm going to give you guys some details on it, basically to kind of take you behind the scenes of what it took to make this, the dimensions and all that. First, I'll explain kind of, why I made this to begin with, kind of how it happened. I had some Muppet Show Palisades figures on the shelf, beautiful figures, and I had these sitting on the shelf. They were collecting dust and they looked lonely, and I thought, I need to make something that's gonna make these figures stand out and really pop. And I thought, what better place to have all the characters than the backstage of the Muppet Show? There's really no better setting you could think of than backstage, because that's where all the characters are all the time. It doesn't matter if they're from the Electric Mayhem or from Pigs in Space or from some random fish throwing act. They're backstage, and so is Kermit, front and center. So there's really no better opportunity than to have the backstage. It also offers some interesting lighting, nice colorful lighting. And so that's what happened. And this thing did take longer than I thought it was gonna take to build. It's very, very intricate, very detailed. Everything was made very precise, and I'm really, 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 really happy with the way it came out, because it just accommodates, about 14, 15, probably fit 16 figures in this thing, and it couldn't have been better. So that's actually the smaller scale Muppet, one of the smaller scale Muppet figures. And I really wanted him in the layout, or it's in the diorama, because he's such kind of a iconic character of the Muppet Show. And it really wouldn't be backstage at the Muppet Show without Mana, or, the Snooths, or both. And so I've got him back there for now. I might add the Snooths later. But I thought, because during the song, he actually goes to the back, opens up the door and walks out. So I thought that's kind of funny. And so I prop one of those doors open, I put him in the back for kind of like forced perspective, since he's smaller than he should be. And it fits perfectly. It looks just like it does in the show. I want to go over to the wood paneling, how I did that. It's basically pine. I think I used pine for all the wood panels. And I beveled the ends of each of them to give it more of that realistic look. And then I painted everything in a series of browns, a lot of different coats of browns and kind of yellows. The wall right here where the Ricky the Rat poster is not accurate at all. There's supposed to be an open gap there with a ladder that extends all the way down to the bottom. And that's not present because with the reference photos that I had of this set, it didn't show that back wall or the back area there. And then the later reference photos that I got while actually watching the Muppet Show, it was too late and the wall was already in. And no one really cares, right? No one really cares. The little ornate carvings up here were really cool. That's actually laser cut. One of the only things on this diorama that is laser cut, simply because there's no way for me to make that without 3D printing, and I didn't want to 3D print anything on this thing. And so I thought, okay, I'm just gonna take some olive wood, or some, wasn't pine, it was walnut. It was a walnut. And I had someone laser cut it for me, and it looks great. You're probably wondering why there's Mickey Mouse ears in there. If you look at the show, there is to what I believe to be some kind of design that looks like Mickey Mouse ears. Don't know why, but they were, at least to what I think they are, little Mickey Mouse ears. The bricks are very, very specific. These bricks are all laid in by hand. Each and every one of them was placed individually. They're made of plaster and or concrete. I made them with this 50 brick mold. What I did is I just made 50 wooden little blocks in the scale that I needed, and made a mold over those wooden blocks, and then had this, and then just poured the plaster bricks, just made batch after batch after batch after batch after batch, and would just spend hours just sitting there gluing each and every one of these bricks in place. And there's a lot of bricks on this thing. There is a lot. And so that was very time consuming, especially having to work around all the doors and everything, having to cut some of the little plaster bricks in half, and some of them would break or crumble or whatever. So it took a lot. It took a lot. I think I just placed them all in there with super glue. Put them all in with super glue. And then I painted them once. And then I kind of gave them a coat, basically just coated everything in super glue, and you can imagine the fumes. That's what I did. I coated all the bricks in super glue, and that gave them a nice kind of sturdy, kind of rock solid quality, so the plaster wasn't at risk of crumbling, and it worked. And then I just painted over that, and it looks great, I think. Yeah, it's really, it really, it really turned out well. So a lot of this stuff, basically the entire thing was just eyeballing, looking at pictures and then doing it, and looking at another picture from a different angle and then doing it. Luckily, the bricks turned out, and luckily the staircase turned out too, because that was when I got to the staircase, and I'll just take a loo out so you can see it better. I'll take a loo out, and I'll take Gonzo out. I'll take Sam out too. They've been sitting there for a while. So as you can see, the staircase here. Oh, Camilla, you're in the way. When I got to the staircase, I was really kind of panicking, because I thought, uh-oh, what if the measurements are wrong? What if the amount of steps doesn't measure out to, what if the steps come out here instead of back there? So I got to the steps and I finished them. I thought, I kind of wiped my brow, because luckily they came out kind of, they're a little bit narrower than they should be, but they're able to fit, you know, a character like Gonzo or Miss Piggy. So that's really all that I care about. Obviously, you're not going to fit a character like Sam on one of these little steps, because his tail sticks out too much. But I think even Swedish Chef gets a pretty good grip on one of those steps. And then it comes down, just like in the show. You actually don't ever see any of the floor, or very rarely. Kermit's desk was actually the first thing I made, and it's covered in stuff right now, but it's basically just a block of pine, and with this other thinner piece of pine on top of it, and then I kind of just carved it to get this beveled edge. And this book, while we're at it, this book is actually something that I made a resin cast, silicone mold of. You can see I put all the guests' names in there, or many of my favorite guests. Edgar Bergen, John Cleese, Vincent Price, Steve Martin. Here's one of the books that the tests that I had done with some clear resin. So theoretically, I could turn this into another book and have it sitting somewhere else, but there's no point, because I don't need more than one book. Here's the mold, though. Here's the mold that I made. This is from something I casted from Sam's book. The book that comes with the Sam Beagle figure. And as you can see, it's the same thing, just copied. It's gonna go back on the piano. And then everything is just filled with props. I was so happy to get this thing done, and mainly so I could just fill it with props. I was so happy putting the props in this thing, because there's so many great places to put them. I installed hooks all on the top here, and then all the back wall there, just hooks and hooks to attach the tires and the funny glasses and the ray gun and the rubber chicken and the punching glove, and added a rafter up here for the chickens to make a little nest in, and the Beethoven bust, and even a tomato, because there, of course, there's the tomato up here. And I had all this extra storage space, so I just put a bunch of other Muppet props and things up there. And there's Pepe. He's hanging out up there, probably trying to flirt with one of the chickens, knowing him. And there's Fozzie's little inner tube. The more detailed details, like this little electrical box back here, actually made from pine, I think, for the base of the main body of it, and then the actual electrical system here was made out of styrene. That's all styrene plastic there. Let's see if we can. Yeah, it's kind of fragile. The doors, that's another actually really cool thing I want to tell you guys about. The doors, all 3 doors are actually made of plastic. They were originally wood, but accidentally destroyed one of them. I think one of them got caught in one of the machines that I was using to make them. And so I just took the very best door that I had and made a silicone mold of it. That way I can make 2, or I can make 3 perfect doors instead of having, 3 uneven ones. So that's that. It's a great big silicone mold. If you want a Muppet Show door, hit me up. I'll make you one. And then I just painted over it, made them all look even and everything. Still got to add the doorknobs, as you can see. And the stars are a little bit bigger than they should be. It's actually paper. The stars were paper, and then oh yeah, that was a part of the original mold too. So that got molded in there with it. So that's that. The ladder is removable back here. That's removable. And then, oh, I want to show you this too. Kermit's little stool. So the figure's actually too short to stand all the way up to this desk. So I made him a little stool. I'll take that out and show you guys. There it is. It's a cute little stool. I actually put some effort into this. I added little wear marks on each step to make it look like, Kermit's been standing here for a while. And then there's the lights. The lights I made from pine and then styrene. And then the little hinges up here are metal. And they do, in fact, move back and forth on little pieces that I installed. This little, can't really see it with the light. I'll have to go around the back, but they can rotate, so you can shine these lights anywhere you want to. And then the yellow and red are just little filters that I put over the top. This is a little switch, little button, little battery pack hidden in the back there. Switch turns them off, turns them on. There's another view, the side. And then these lights back here. If you remember in the show, I believe starting the 2nd or 3rd season, they started incorporating these side shots of the reactions of the characters were having off stage to what was happening on stage. And you could see they had a red light and a blue light that shined out on stage, and that's what I did. There we go. And you can move these as well. I'm not really going to because I don't want to mess up the wiring. I actually just fixed that yesterday, the wiring. And yeah, that's that. Very happy with the way that came out. Again, wood and then styrene. Little piano that I made with plastic keys, which I casted from Dr. Teeth's electric keyboard. Give you guys an overhead shot of this. I think it's just about all. Oh, I can't forget, of course, posters. Posters I'm kind of happy with. Really like the way these came out. So the posters are a very important part of the Backstage. This is one you see in the show. This is the Statler and Waldorf in a box of their own. And there's Ricky the Rat back there from Muppet Vision. And then there's Fozzie Bear's No Joking, I Need a Job poster from Muppet Vision as well. And then I'm gonna go back on the side and show you guys, I'll take Janet out here, whoops. This is one of my favorites. This is world famous hot dog jugglers, Jim and Frank. And then the great Golzini. Obviously a reference to Jim Henson, Frank Oz, and Dave Coles. Three of my favorite Muppet performers. I'm not sure why, but hot dog jugglers just sounded funny to me, and it sounded like something the Muppets would do. And there's some writing down there as well. That's pretty much it. Oh, this clock was a little dollhouse piece, I think. I did not make that. Here's a little Fozzie figure that I'd made a little hat for. He actually came with the hat missing. He was in the box, but the box was already opened and his hat was gone, so just had to make one. And I ended up making one with a little press tag in it, so you could call this the Great Muppet Caper version of Fozzie. There's Zoot next to the piano playing something sad on his saxophone. That's it. That's really all there is to share. If you guys want any other bits of information, I'll share anything. I'm not, I don't have any, there's no secrets here. I want to show you guys some of the other stuff that I have. As you can see, I'm a really big Muppet fan. And so I want to take you guys into my collection here. I don't have a huge collection. I'm pretty particular about what I collect because I collect a lot of different things, Muppets being one of them. Probably one of the biggest things I like to kind of embrace in my life. And it's not a huge allotment of items, but what I have is very, very special and kind of particular. So if this wasn't enough, prepare for a little bit more. This is a little something I picked up in Germany. If you're German and you can read this for me, please translate. I'm not sure what it says. A little Gonzo plushie from what, 88 or something? It's late 80s Gonzo plush. Dog City print back here. And then this is the Magic of Disney Animation Muppet Vision cell of Kermit. That was released back in like 2010. I added the eyes and the nose, it was funny. I thought this is totally something that you'd see, in one of the Backstage photos. Going back over here, this is a really special piece. This is the one of the prototypes used for the Kitchen Catastrophe Swedish Chef figure. The Swedish Chef is one of my all-time favorite Muppets, and as you can clearly tell, I'm a really big Palisades fan, so to have acquired this was a huge highlight for me. This is, as you may recognize, this is Ernie's Duck from Sesame Street. There you go. Alan J. Charlotte, made in the USA. So this is something from the 1950s or 60s. And the production painted it yellow. This is not one of the originals. This is something that I found and then painted to look like the duck from the show. This is, however, the duck. So this is an old Disney News magazine from the summer of 1991. And as you can see, it states that Jim Henson's Muppet Vision 3D is debuting at Walt Disney World. Everything's coming up Muppets. Kermit and Friends Go 3D. So if you want to read this, I'll stretch it out for you so you can pause and read if you'd like to, if you don't own this magazine. And then there's all that. There's some great behind the scenes pictures in here. And it's just these 2 pages. This is a really neat picture. This is the creative team, the Imagineers that worked on the attraction, standing with the penguins and the orchestra. That's really, really cool. Here's Jim Henson directing what I believe is his son, Brian Henson, in the costume. These are some storyboards from Muppets from Space. Not the originals, I think these are just copies. These were probably used on set, I'm guessing, because they'd have to make copies of storyboards to send around to different levels of production. And there's a second page here. This is a storyboard from the 2011 Muppets film. And the reason why this is, I feel so special, is because this is the moment Kermit goes back to the studio for the first time in many, many, many years. He's blowing the dust off his old phone, and he's making calls again. He's saying he wants to be on the show, so really this shot is just, I feel, very symbolic. This is what the Muppets movie is all about, the 2011 Muppets movie. This is what it's all about. Kermit and the Muppets coming back to the studio, blowing the dust off, and going back at it again. Here's the certificate of authenticity. This is a press photo of Jim Henson with the Jim Henson Hour characters from 1988. This was used by NBC. Here's another great picture from MGM Studios, I'm guessing probably around opening day. It's used by Walt Disney World. Another press photo. There's some other Palisades figures. Actually, I'm gonna put Sweetums in with the diorama because I want you guys to see just how big he is. So as you can see, this diorama is not to accurate scale. It's much, much, much bigger than the Palisades Backstage playset. But as you can see, Sweetums, compared to one of the doors back here, not quite in scale, because a human standing on this set would come up to about his lip. Here's a really cool piece. One of my favorite, I probably said that about everything now, but one of my favorite items here is this Crunchy Stars cereal box. This is an original cereal box from what, 1980s, early 90s. They didn't make this for too long. It's only a few years, a couple of years even. From what I hear, this cereal was actually really, really delicious. And it's too bad we'll never get it ever again. June 16, 1989. It looks like that expired in June of 89. And the price is gone. That's faded completely. As you can see, there's nothing left in there. It's just an empty box. Crunchy Stars advertising hat. I've never seen anyone talk about this. I've never seen another one listed. I can't even find a picture of it online. The wording on this is like printed in this kind of rubbery texture. And it's obviously quite old. You can see all the foam inside is completely yellowed. Made in the USA. And that's how you know this thing is old, because it's made in the USA. And of course, here's the Crunchy Stars Swedish chef doll with his utensils here. I was very fortunate enough to find one that didn't have any kind of stains or markings on him. I love his hat. He's also pretty big too. He's got these big plastic shoes, and the rolling pin and spoon are actually wood. Here's a Kermit collection squeezy featuring Kermit. He's a little squishy toy. Here's a cool little Gonzo figure from Palisades. Very neat. Here's one of the Vinylmation, the big Vinylmation 9-inch figures from Muppet Vision. Here's a really beautiful Swedish chef figure. Now the Kermit collection, as we saw before, this Kermit collection came from a German company. This was back when the Muppets were owned by Germany, by a company in Germany. So if you look on the back, you'll see it's all mostly in German. Eigel Spielzeug. Eigel Eck. I'm not even gonna try because it's I'm just gonna butcher it. I'm sorry. Yeah, the pictures look kind of strange. It's kind of a weird picture to use for animal. It looks really kind of poorly photoshopped, I'm not gonna lie. This figure is probably the nicest, because I've seen the other figures in the collection, and they're all just kind of a plush material, but the Swedish Chef's actually really nicely sculpted and looks just like the actual Muppet. So this, I'm not gonna take it out because it's buried in bendy figures, as you can see, but this is a Miss Piggy posable like foam bendy toy from like 77, I think. It's still in the original box. This was only released in the UK. As you can see, it's still kind of in really good condition back there. Foam deteriorates over time, and really these kinds of things are very difficult to find. Moving on, this is probably the most important thing in the entire collection. This is one of Miss Piggy's actual gloves. Yes, you heard correctly. This is one of Miss Piggy's actual gloves. No, it's not one of those gloves they used for promotion. It wasn't some kind of giveaway or anything. Hanson Associates. Number... looks like it was 5, and then they changed it to 6, or vice versa. My guess is that this was used in one of the Miss Piggy calendar shoots, because it's old. This thing is very, very old. I'm not sure when they retired the Ha logo like that, but I believe it was before 85. And that would line up with the calendar shoots that Miss Piggy was selling at that point. The fingers are still posable, which is insane. It's just really, really awesome to watch one of the movies like Muppets Take Manhattan, or look at one of the calendars and think, is that the glove I have sitting on my shelf right now? So it's really, really neat. It also gives you a really cool insight at just how big Miss Piggy's hands are. Because whenever I want, I can just walk to the shelf and say, I'm holding Miss Piggy's hand right now. That's really cool. So that's probably the coolest thing. One of the coolest things that I own, period. This is one of Kermit's actual pieces of, I guess, his body. The fabric, the actual fabric used in the workshops to make Kermit back in late 80s. I think this is pre-1990. Actually, this swatch and this glove were both fished out of the trash by the person that I bought it from. This is also a kind of an interesting piece. I'm not sure when this is from, but it is a folder, kind of a heavy-duty folder, featuring Kermit all over the inside. Yeah, there's some other Palisade stuff. There's the new Funko Pops, Kermit and Gonzo. Been hunting for these in the store for a while now, a couple months, and I've only been able to find these two. Here is a Muppet mirror, not too much to it. This is one original piece from 78, 79. This is kind of one of those things where you think, wow, it's kind of really interesting and strange. And so what we've got here is one of the original Art of the Muppets posters that I've framed. This is from, let's see, 1980. So back in, I believe, 79, they had the Art of the Muppets exhibit in New York. It was so popular that in 1980 they started doing these as kind of like a big world tour, or I think maybe it was just a nationwide thing. I can't remember, but from 80 to 86, I think it was. Anyways, what makes this special is that this was never used. This was one of the posters. So usually you have the poster up here, right? And then you have the location of where this exhibit was being held on the bottom. Written in or printed and typed and then pasted on the bottom there. But this does not have that. This, for some reason, I guess, was never used. I've always loved this design. You've got the whole Muppet Workshop, everything from Sesame Street to Sam and Friends. It's a big thing too. This thing's pretty big. My hand, just for a size reference, it's a huge thing. But very cool to have around. Here's another scratch-built project. This is, of course, Gonzo. This is a fully functional puppet. There's really so much to talk about with this guy. I don't even know if I'm gonna get to all of it. But you may have seen this one in Paging Mr Morrow's Lakeland Antique Mall video. If you just go to his channel and look through his Lakeland Antique Mall stuff, you'll see him in one of the thumbnails. I have refurbished him since the recording of that video, and he's also wearing a different outfit. He's wearing his checkered sweater vest a week after he made that video that I created this brand new outfit for him. This is from Muppets Tonight. This is the same fabric they used in that show, same design. I found the exact pattern, just kind of by chance. Someone was selling this old, like half bolt of like old stock, and it just so happens that it's the same exact design was used. So I can only imagine that this is the exact fabric they used as well. The shoes are from the Great Muppet Caper. Took me a couple of years to source the right shoes for him. And the laces are just the striped laces he's got in the movie. The nose took a long time to kind of get right. Very specific. You've got to get it looking right from all angles. There's little buttons for his suspenders that he would have underneath his checkered blazer, which I never ended up making. It's so magical taking this guy to one of the Disney parks and just seeing people's faces light up. It's one of the major appeals the Muppets have with audiences is just the personalities and the textures and different fabrics, and just seeing these animated puppets just come to life and have a life of their own, interact with people in real time, and tell jokes and just make people smile. It's just very, very, very special. It's a very special feeling, and being able to do that a couple different occasions. So I'll post that video in the description. You guys can go see Gonzo in the park. Finishing piece here. This is an opening day t-shirt from MGM Studios, Disney's MGM Studios. May 16, 1991, opened Jim Henson's Muppet Vision 3D. And this is one of those opening day t-shirts. And then, of course, to finish everything off, this is the other half of that diorama. There's actually a room that goes behind this, a big set behind this that I haven't finished building yet. As you can kind of see, it's still unfinished up top. But there's more of those darn bricks, and there's the door from the show. This M, I made that, made this out of wood. It's not accurate at all to the show, but I thought, nah, that'd be really cool just to have something there, because the doorway's just kind of bland by itself. There's supposed to be a coat rack here, but I haven't put it in yet. And then there's Pops in his window. And let's see, I've got the little shelf here. There's supposed to be a shelf here. I've built that, and it's all painted and ready to go. I just haven't attached it yet. And I think he looks really good in here. I'm really, really proud of this. I'm actually very proud of how this window came out, because cutting all these pieces of wood to match the shape of this arch and everything was something that I was very pleased with. This is the final last poster that I custom created in Photoshop for my little diorama set. And this is New Zealand and his North Atlantic Orchestra, which is, you know, orca-stra, because he's a fish-throwing maniac. And then underneath that is Sam the American Eagle presents a brief lecture on classical American music. I wanted to include a musical poster, because all the other posters are just kind of variety show type things. I wanted to do something with music, because the Muppet Show is really big with music. So I thought, orchestra, orca, stra, New Zealand, fish. So, and then of course, you know, Sam would be completely appalled with such a thing. So he's got to give a big brief on classical music. So that's that. That's all. My voice is killing me here, but that's all we've got. I've reached the end here, as you can see. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.